Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been writing some programs to go along with our textbook, Microsoft Visual C# 2015, An Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming by Joyce Farrell. Remember, we're using the 2015 version, not the 2017. So, this is my copy of the online version of the book, and let's see, let's go to Chapter 1. It says page 1, so hopefully I can put that in there. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything that was in here. So we talked a little bit about programming. All right, talked about comments, ran and actually created a program that was, we're going to do this in class, so I'm not worried about talking about what software is, etc. But I want to take a quick look and make sure that we didn't miss anything. Okay, so we did a more difficult program even than this. Chapter 1 does not have very much stuff in it. I've actually probably gone into and talked about Chapter 2 already, but that's okay. We talked about line comments, we talked about block comments. We'll see XML comments. They're not that important for us right now. We did something similar to this, so you saw that. They talk about running this from the command line. I think that's silly to do, so I'm not even going to go over it with you. If you're interested in it, you can read what's in the book. It's not a problem. The way I'm showing you, you'll have to take my word for it, but I believe at least it's much, much, much easier. All right, they talk about errors. I haven't made any yet, but I'm sure I'll make more than my share as we get going. I think that's pretty much it, yeah. Let's jump into Chapter 2 and see what's there. Using data. So, we've already talked about some of this, all right, but we'll put some more stuff in there too, okay? All right, I'm going to try to put one of each of these in there. So far, we've got floating point and double are the same, except that double can hold a bigger number. If you use floating point, you've got to put a letter F at the end of the number. I don't want to do that. So let's put a Boolean in there. We'll put a char in there. We'll put an int in there. How's that? All right, we'll put in some name constants. I don't think it's a good time for enumerations. And accepting the console input, we've already done that. So here are the data types, the numeric ones, all right, and the non-numeric ones. So let's just go back and, all right, as I did before, I'm just going to grab all of my code in here. After all, it's my code, so why can't I? Copy it to the clipboard, File. Let's close our solution. Yes, we'll save our changes. All right, so File, New, Project. Another one of these. Okay, and again, if you remember, so far we had payroll number 01 and payroll number 02. I'm not very original here. So this will be payroll number 03. Okay? All right. Let's come in here and let's paste in all of that code that we had before. So now the program looks just like our last one did, except we don't have our you-know-it using static system.console. And those will all go away now. There you go. We could run it now and it would look exactly the same as our last one did. All right. Let's add a few additional variables here. All right. Now, normally, I want to have an integer variable in here. Int is a whole number. So I'm going to call this int, and I'm going to call this here emp number. And I'm going to set that equal to 0. All right, so that'll be the employee number. Now, normally, I wouldn't do that and make it something like an employee number, make that kind of a variable an integer. Why? Because really, variables that are numeric should only hold values that could conceivably be used in calculations. You would never use an employee number in a calculation, but I'm doing it just to show you an employee number or an integer variable. Okay. So what's new in here? Well, we asked the first name, we asked the last name. We've got this. Let's come up here. And now we're going to ask, please enter employee number. And this will be a convert dot to int 32. All right, let's just do that, and we won't do anything else yet. So we've got the employee, all that information, so we're going to put in here number. It may not line up, but that's okay. We shouldn't have to, we'll just say here number dot toString. All right, and we won't worry about the F or anything, no formatting inside, just like that. Why isn't it not liking this? Because we called it emp number, that's why. Okay, and we need another paren here. So the only thing I've changed was to add an employee number field in here. So let's save this and run it again. So Jeff Scott, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I work 40 hours, 25 bucks an hour. Now it's got the employee number as 0, so something is wrong there. So let's fix it. All right. Well, because we said hours here, we didn't say emp number. So we never set its value. Let's save it again and run it again. Sandy Scott, 50, 50. Oops. Well, her employee number is 50. She worked 40 hours and she makes $10 an hour. Okay, I've got to put one more tab in there, but other than that, it looks just fine. So before the employee number, we have to add one more tab. All right, let's put in a couple more things. All right, so let's see. Let's put in a character. First name, let's put in a char here. So we'll put in char, and we'll call this MI for middle initial, and it equals single quote space single quote. And that will be the employee middle initial. Okay, try to pretty this up a tad. Just trying to get stuff to line up a little bit. All right, so char mi equals, and you get that green thing, green squiggly. That's not an error, that's a warning saying you've got a variable that you're not using. All right, so let's just grab this again. All right, please enter employee middle initial. I don't know if that's a read line or not. That's going to be a good one. We'll find out. Mi equal read line? I don't know if it's going to, yeah, it doesn't like that. Cannot convert string to char. I think we have to say convert dot to char, I believe. That's what we'll have to say here. All right, so let's try that, and then we will add here a middle initial. Probably can get by with just one tab there. So let's see if we made it better or if it works. Middle initial, it says Scott, probably because I didn't change that. I just did a copy, but everything else appears to be working. All right, so let's fix that. There's the middle initial, so that should say MI here, not last name. All right, let's break the program. Okay. Middle initial, let's put her full name in there. Notice the program's breaking right now. It's stopping. It's giving us an error message, and it's telling us, hey, you said it was a character and you put in too much stuff. Okay? Believe me, we're all going to get our share of errors like that. Let's break it again in a different way. All right, first name we'll put in Sandra. Middle initial we'll put in K. Last name we'll put in Scott. Employee number, let's leave it blank. We get another error because it was expecting, all right, an integer, and we did not put in an integer value. We could do the same thing with our other values, but let's just run it, make sure it works. Sandra, K, Scott, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the employee number. The hours, let's say she worked 50 hours and she makes $27.50 an hour. All right, I've got to move this over one, but other than that, it looks like it's working just fine. So let's double check that. There we go. All right, so that's looking good. Now, looking back at our book here, it said that we were also supposed to be talking about, let's try going back to outline page 40. Of course not. All right, so I showed you declaring variables. I showed you how to display variable values. I just showed you the int. I'm not going over the floating point. We're just going to use this. I didn't put in a Boolean, but we did put in a char. All right, so let's add to this program char. I'm sorry, Boolean. And let's add also a couple constants. All right, we're not going to use the constants, but we're going to add them to this particular program. All right, so let's stop the run. Before we figure out any of their information, after this, we're going to put in here a bool, and we're going to call this is union. We will set it right now to false. Is employee a union member? Right, we get the squigglies again, so now we did the first name, last name, we did the employee number. So let's see. Is employee a union member? We'll say here true or false. So we're going to say here is union. And we're not going to do a convert here to int. We're going to try to do a convert to Boolean. All right. And here, after this, we will add the employee union status, something like that. We'll probably only need one or two of these. Employee union status \T, and this will be is union. All right. Is that what we called it? Is union. Not employee number, I'm sorry. Should just be is union. We may need a .toString in here too, I don't know. All right, we're going to try that, see if it works. So, well, one too many tabs, but that's fine. I'm going to put in here false. I'm not a union member. 50 hours, $25 an hour. All right, so this has got one too many tabs, and this has got one too few tabs. But other than that, everything's working. So we're going to come back here. First one had one too many tabs. And the second one had one too few tabs. So let's save this. Run it again. Let's see, she is a union member. All right, there we go. All right, last thing that I want to show you in this particular programmatic example is how we can come in and add some constants. We'll use these in later programs. All right, we're not going to use them now, but we will use them in later programs. In fact, I'm going to declare them up here because later we're going to be adding more stuff rather than just a main. So you'll get used to seeing them up here. So I'm going to say here, declare program constants. In fact, what I should have been saying down here is declare and initialize program variables. All right, so let's see. Let's assume that a person, you know, kind of the ones we've been using in other classes. So I'm going to say here const double max non-OT equals 40.0. Over, and we're going to put in here maximum number of non-OT hours worked, const double, what do we have? We've got hours and rate. So min hours, we'll say that the fewest hours somebody can work are 0.0. Yeah, I knew that would happen. So we'll put here minimum minimum number hours worked. Again, we're not going to check these yet. We will check these in later programs. So we've got min hours, we'll have max hours, so the most hours somebody can work, we're going to say will be 84, 12 hours a day. All right. Min rate, somebody's if somebody is a volunteer employee, so we're going to say minimum hourly rate. And since we've got a min rate, we'll have a max rate. We'll say that no employee makes more than $100 an hour. Okay. All right. Space. All right, so that's minimum hourly rate, and this will be maximum hourly rate. All right, so in this program, we've added constants, which we are not yet using. We added a char for the middle initial. We added a Boolean, all right, to see whether or not they were an hourly worker or not. And we did our converts in here also, and we printed that information out. The only other thing I'd like to do is to go back to my older program here, my last one. Oops, I don't want to do that. And grab that comment and modify it a bit. Close that. Yeah, let's come up here and we'll paste in that comment. And we'll put in here, in addition, this program has added the following constructs. 1, global constants. 2, a char variable, and that was the middle initial. A Boolean variable, which we called isUnion. That's pretty much, I think, what we did in here. All right. So what we will do in our next iteration here, what I plan on doing, is coming in and taking this same program that I've just written and making it GUI. Once in a while I get problems like this, so I'm going to have to pause this, and I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.